One gargantuan purple hurdle stands in the way of Minnesota United and a place in the MLS is Back tournament final as the Loons go up against Orlando City in the semi-final. Callum Williams here alongside Kyndra D. St. Aubin. A subplot or two in this one, you might say. Before we go to Orlando City, though, Kyndra, let's revisit the last game, shall we? And perhaps the most comprehensive performance we've seen from the Loons during this competition.
Yeah, I think another one of those matches where a lot of people were surprised at the Loons' offensive output. They had struggled a bit on the offensive side of things leading into this match, but they manhandled the San Jose Earthquakes, and they got goals from some unexpected folks. But you got Ja'Cory Hayes on the board, Robin Lod on the board, you got Marlon Hairston, and Luis Amarilla off the schneid finally getting his goal as well to give Minnesota United that 4-1 victory. And I think the key piece for me was that they just kept piling on. They never let down. As soon as San Jose got a goal back on a penalty, Luis Amarilla attacks on another one, makes it another 2-goal lead. They never gave up. They had the fight, they had the energy, and the tactical awareness to make the changes they needed to make from the start of the match, throughout the match, and to see the game out all the way until the finish. So a fantastic game by Minnesota United to get that win and to advance in this tournament. Intriguing
that the Loons advance in this tournament in the manner in which they have, Kyndra, because it's safe to say it's been the main headline throughout this tournament from a Loons point of view. They've done it as underdogs, have they not?
They have, and you know, everyone likes to label them the underdogs, and including Adrian Heath. I don't think he's just done it in this tournament. I think he's done it throughout the past 3+ years of Minnesota United's history in MLS because of the way this team came into the league. But all they do is continue to prove people wrong and to continue to build their confidence, to continue to improve their roster, improve their game, and you just finally, you get to a point, I think, where you got to say, hey, you know what? In this semifinal, we are not the underdog. We belong here. We belong in the final. We belong, have an opportunity to advance in this tournament and to maybe get in that CCL. And I think game by game, moment by moment, Adrian Heath and his club and this roster have proved people wrong, and their confidence is just flying high. It's fun to see the camaraderie. It's fun to see the energy from these guys.
So the transfer window for Major League Soccer opening on August 12th. Minnesota United have been active in that department already. He won't play during this tournament, but Bakaye Dibassy arrived from Amiens. Kyndra D. St. Aubin, your thoughts on this addition?
Well, you know, you and I talked about it on the podcast this week. I think just a fantastic addition to this squad. I mean, not only does it just create depth and adds more quality on your back line. Can he play left back? Can he play left center back? You and I talked about it. What if Minnesota United plays a 3-5-2, 5-3-2 on occasion? Can he play with a 3 center back system if Ike Opara is back in the fold and you have Michael Boxall and him in that left center back spot, Chase Gasper in the left wing back? So much versatility, so much depth, so much quality coming to this Minnesota United roster. It just keeps adding on, and anytime you can add a player with this kind of experience, with this level of quality to your roster, it's a bonus. It doesn't mean it's a negative for someone who's already on the team. It doesn't mean anything for Chase Gasper. It doesn't mean he's out of the fold. It means competition, which makes you better. It's an added piece, and anytime you can compare someone to Romain Métanire, I'll take it.
Yeah, plenty of time ahead to analyse Bakaye Dibassy, but before we do, let's analyse Minnesota United against Orlando City in the semi-finals of this particular competition. Next up, we'll hear from a man who this game, it might mean a little bit too much to. The head coach of the Loons, Adrian Heath, is next. Minnesota United take on Orlando City Thursday, August 6th at 7 p.m. in the MLS is Back tournament semi-final stage. Big game, Steve, big goals! Tonight's preview show is brought to you by Allianz. Allina Health, official orthopedic partner of Minnesota United. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. Better together, you and blue. And M Health Fairview, please protect yourselves and others by wearing a mask when in public spaces. We all have to do our parts. Wear yours, Minnesota. Now, you might have heard the head coach of Minnesota United, Adrian Heath, for a while used to manage Orlando City. But putting that aside, he's very happy with the depth of his roster, but also the team camaraderie and the just sheer delight of how many people are getting on and doing ever so well in this tournament. And earlier on, he spoke to our very own Eric Durkee.
All right, Adrian, a lot of your players have talked about how close this group feels compared to years past. How do you approach that as a coach, and is that something that you've noticed as well?
Yeah, it's a good job to get on after having had 5 weeks in this bubble. No, it's the best group we've had. We talked about adding players in the off-season who we knew could come into the team. But not only come into the team, come in and respond with the performances that they've done. That only keeps the first team players on the toes in every training session. The attitude of the players has been unbelievable since we've been here. And I think that's got us through some games when we haven't played quite as well as we would have liked. But the one thing I can never fault with this group is their honesty, their integrity to do what you ask of them. So that might stand us in good stead come Thursday night.
And a lot of people have made a lot about you facing your former club. I want to ask about that, but I do want to talk about maybe two teams that were sort of surprising to get to the semifinals. How do you approach that, knowing that you're sort of in the same boat, and then tactically, how do you approach the match?
Well, as I said to the guys, anything less than we delivered against San Jose, I don't think will be enough. They're coming into the game full of confidence. You can see that. I think that when I look at what Oscar's done in a short period of time, it speaks volumes of him as a coach. Because you forget he's only been there a short period of time, and they look a well-drilled outfit. So no, it's going to be a tough game for us. We're fully aware of that. But as I said after the game, you know, Oscar's experienced and wily enough to know that they're going to have to play well also, because I just feel as though this group's on a bit of a roll at the moment.
And a little bit on the depth, you know, I feel like you've had different tactics for different games in this tournament.
Yeah.
You know, how do you set up against Orlando, and how may that vary between the other teams that you played?
Well, I think certain teams we've kept a low block. Certain teams we've gone a little bit higher up, and then against San Jose we went for the full press, if you like, and weren't allowing them to sort of dictate the tempo and possession of the game deep in our half. So we'll speak to the players. We've come up with a situation and a plan that we think will make it difficult for Orlando. But ultimately, as always in these big games, small margins are going to make the difference. Is it going to be lack of mistakes? Is it been taking your opportunities when they come? Set pieces have been great for us. Can we maintain that? So all of them are going to be really important, and we're looking forward to it.
Now, in this particular interview, he didn't want to talk about it, but we should. The fact that he was the former Orlando City manager, had fabulous success during his time in Florida. This will mean so much to him, won't it?
Well, I think the other piece of it is not just that he is the former manager of Orlando City, but he brought that team there and he built that club. He helped design the stadium that he never got to coach the team in. The only time he coached in that stadium was Minnesota United, going there in 2018 and getting the victory against his former club. So there's so much more blood, sweat, and tears that goes along with what Adrian Heath did in Orlando City, bringing that team in USL, having one of the best winningest records, winning streaks in the history of the club in those times. So there's so much that is going to go into this. There's so much emotion. He did 7,000 interviews this week, mostly with Orlando folks. So you know that there's an added motivation, an added extra element to this game, and the players are aware of that too, just like when a player goes against his former club as well.
Well, today, Adrian Heath's mission is to get the better of Orlando City, and this, the starting 11 he plans to do it with, presented by Allianz. Unsurprisingly, Kyndra, unchanged, a big day for the three central midfielders again.
It is, and you know what? I think that the key piece for me, again, is Hayes and Gregush and Alonso, because they hold down the fort. They limit the distribution from the opposition. So when you know that you have a dangerous 10 on the opposite side of the pitch, that you have to limit their ability to distribute the ball to their playmakers, then at the same time, when that ball goes into transition and you win it, you have to find that first stretch pass to beat the back line for Orlando. And that's what we saw several times in the game against San Jose Earthquakes. The ability for Alonso, for Ja'Cory Hayes, for Jan Gregush to find Ethan Finley, to find Robin Lod, to find Amaria and get behind the back line. And even Hassani Dotson, he may stay home a little bit more today because he's got a lot on his plate in front of him. But at the same time, when he picks his moments to go forward, to cut inside, to get to the inline, to serve the ball, so many dangerous chances created. And it all starts with that middle three.
Let's take a look at Orlando City. Now, we have to confess here, this is the lineup from their last game against LAFC. We haven't seen their lineup for this particular game. We'd be surprised if there were any major adjustments. The only real question mark here, Kyndra, is whether or not Chris Mueller is available on the right-hand side. Either way, though, a lot of focus will go on the number 10, Pereira.
Well, and we were just talking about the opposition and what Ozzy Alonso, Ja'Cory Hayes, and Jan Gregers are going to have to take care of, and it's Pereira, because he starts the attack for Orlando City. Doesn't show up on the score sheet, on the stat sheet, not a ton of goals and assists, but he is the one distributing the ball to Nani, who is so dangerous on that left-hand side, so much experience, his ability to curl the ball in, to pick out the pass, to switch the fields on a dime. And if Mueller is in the game, you heard Adrian Heath talk this week. Juan and Mueller on that right-hand side are a danger for this Orlando City club. The pace and the effort and the ability on that right-hand side to get in line and to cut inside and get on goal, if Mueller's in the game, it makes a massive difference.
One final question for you. Do we, at all this evening, expect to see Kevin Molino, the former Lion, now a Loon, of course?
Absolutely. And what a luxury to have him be able to sit out the entire San Jose Earthquakes game because of that scoreline, to give that hamstring a little bit of extra rest. But you know he's going to be itching to go against his former club, and he's hopefully back to health. He's on the bench. He's available. The game will, of course, dictate, but I would fully expect to see Kevin Molino in this match.
Oh, we'll find out a little later on, won't we? Stay with us here on the match preview show. Minnesota United against Orlando City. Next up, we'll hear from Mr. Versatile himself, Hassani Dotson.
Van der side, try! A goal from your man! From the man! Catch them if you can! O'Tara. Forward now for Molino, who's in!
Minnesota United take on Orlando City Thursday, August 6th at 7 p.m. in the MLS is Back tournament semi-final stage.
Big game, Steve, big goals!
Tonight's preview show is brought to you by Allianz. Allina Health, official orthopedic partner of Minnesota United. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota, better together, you and blue. And M Health Fairview, please protect yourself and others by wearing a mask when in public spaces. We all have to do our part. Wear yours, Minnesota. Welcome back into our studios here at Allianz Field. Callum Williams alongside Kyndra D. St. Aubin. We don't want to worry you, but we've just been told at the moment the players are under shelter because of a storm of some sort. We're told there may be a little delay in the game. No official confirmation. We'll wait and see. Before that, though, let's move on and talk about Mr. Consistent himself, Hassani Dotson, who's been fabulous during this MLS is Back tournament. And earlier on, he spoke with our very own Eric Durkee.
So Hassani, you've shown a willingness to play multiple positions on the field. Talk about your approach and just being willing to do whatever the coach and the team needs of you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the press conference, I just want to get us on the field as much as possible. And I love playing this game. So when we do the tactics and the team talks, I prepare myself for all the roles on the pitch just in case I get my opportunity.
And you've been paired last game with your draft mate Chase Gasper. What was it like playing with him on either side of the fullback ranks there?
It's always a joy to play with Chase. We have a great relationship on and off the field, and it's nice to be able to celebrate that together. I mean, being drafted the same class, coming up, going through, the rookie stuff together, so it's pretty good.
And you've talked about in the press conference, some of your other teammates have talked about sort of how close this group feels. That there's a family vibe, and having been in a hotel for 5 weeks together, that's really important. Just talk about sort of how the connection has been between you and your teammates.
Yeah, as you can tell, sorry, got a little sweat in my eye. As you can tell, just being around the guys, we're still in a good mood, and it's easy to get on each other's nerves being here for 5 weeks. But there's an urgency, yet a calmness feel, and us being close allows us to work even harder for the person next to us.
And we play a team in Orlando that may be a surprise to get into the semifinals, similar to us here in Minnesota. How do you approach that, knowing that they're going to be firing on all cylinders just like we are, and sort of coming into form as the tournament's progressed?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at any team in the MLS, I think all of them are pretty good teams. So we respect Orlando very much, and like you said, with the firepower they have, I think it'll be a good matchup.
It's almost like a chameleon, isn't he, Kyndra? Whatever position Adrian Heath plays him in, he seems to settle in very well. Why is that?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to choose Renaissance Man because I think he's literally been able to step into anything that any coach has asked him at any given time and really fill that void. And he doesn't just fill it. It's not just, hey, let's plop this guy in there. He does it well. And he studies tape. He learns the game. He soaks everything in. He's a sponge. He wants to emulate holding midfields in the league and in the world. And watch Ozzie Alonso. So he's tried to perfect that position. Oh, hey, we need a right back? Sure, he'll let slot in there while Roma Metanir is on international duty. Oh, Chase Gasper is injured or he's out with a red card. Let's put you at left back as well, even though you're not left-footed. So, and he scored a few goals last season. This is a guy that does everything with a smile on his face. 31st pick, second round, Oregon State. I don't know if anyone expected this, not even Minnesota United staff. They took a flyer on him. They found out that he is well worth his money, well worth the pick, and he's been a delight to see. But what a pleasure to be able to have someone like that you can slot in anywhere.
Question is, where's he best suited, right back or central midfield?
I think it depends on what you're asking. I'd say if he's going to be maybe in the national team conversation at some point, I would say maybe a right wing back. But I say for Minnesota United, as Ozzie Alonso continues to get on in his career and put a few more miles on those legs, I would say a holding midfielder. That would be my preference. You still got Roma Metanir. I would keep him at right back. I would put Hassani at holding mid eventually. But I think if he continues to be in that conversation for a national team, I could see him eventually gaining some steam there on that right-hand side as a right wing back.
Okay, before we finish, let's reshift the focus to a certain Finnish winger, shall we? Robin Lod, 2 goals in 2 games, Kyndra. What are we seeing from a more confident Robin Lod at the moment?
You know what? I just love to see that he is getting on the score sheet and some of his hard work is really paying off. And just maybe to quiet some of the doubters out there, because I think you and I have had several conversations about his ability on the ball, his movement on the ball, off the ball, just the way he can, you know, transition in between the lines. He can tuck inside. And let's not forget, he tracks back like a machine on defense. So he partners with Chase Gasper. He knows the ability to get up and down the field. He can cut inside and nearly be like a 10. So the fact that he's on the score sheet, I appreciate that, and I'm happy for him, and I think that it might quiet some of the doubters. But I think people really need to pay attention. Everyone should pay attention to what he's doing off the ball, away from the ball, some of those runs, his ability in tight spaces. But good for Robin Lod because, you know, you could see a sense of relief on his face as well when he scored that last goal.
All to play for as Minnesota United up against Orlando City in the MLS is Back tournament semi-final stage. We're told 7:30 kickoff due to a slight weather delay. ESPN2 is the network to watch, or join us on the radio side of things on Score North. From all of us here at Allianz Field, goodbye for now.